What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the Dark Souls 2 walkthrough. I am Marcus, also known as Epic, and we are heading into Majula, the main hub of Dark Souls 2. And look at that sunshine, boys. Praise that sun. Love it. I gotta be honest, originally, I hated Majula. It just was desolate and barren, and I just didn't like it at all. And, at some point, I made the realization that that is not the setting sun. That is actually a rising sun. And once I realized that, I don't know, the whole atmosphere just sort of changed for me. I don't know. I can't really explain it. And I just started to love this place. Alright, the first thing we're going to do now that we're here in Majula, we're going to stop at this little grassy patch. And we're going to hop down right here. And we're going to hop down again on this side. Bam. Morning Star and Cleric's Sacred Chime. So right there, you get a hammer class weapon that can cause bleed. It's got this 67 on the bleed effect. And poise damage is 30, which is more than a normal straight sword because it's a hammer. It's also a little bit heavier though, so there's that. But the main point to doing that is you can get the Cleric's Sacred Chime, which if you're starting as anything other than a cleric and you want to use faith early, then you're gonna want to pick that up. But for sorcerers, and actually for casters of all sorts, this is a very, very important item right here, the binoculars. Because with these binoculars, you can equip this as a weapon. It's a weapon this time around. Equip it in the opposite hand from whatever your catalyst is in. So if your catalyst is in your right hand, equip the binoculars in your left. You can then aim and you will shoot in the middle of the screen. So you can use this to manually aim spells. Very, very, very important, very useful. So yeah, if you're planning to catch people with magic in PvP, that's gonna be something you're gonna want. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys this is not gonna be a very action-packed episode. There's gonna be lots of talking to NPCs and stuff like that. But before we do, I want to just run around and hit the important points so that you guys can skip the talking to NPCs if you like. But first, we do need to talk to her. She is very important. This is the Emerald Herald.
Are you the next monarch? Or merely a pawn of fate? Bearer of the curse, I will remain by your side till this frail hope shatters. Take this with you. May it ease your journey.
That's positive thinking.
Go on and see the king. King Vendrick.
Whoops. She is just telling us the main goal of the game is to, for now, our mission is to meet King Vendrick. But we can't just march up there and meet him.
Bearer of the curse, seek misery. For misery will lead you to greater, stronger souls. You will never meet the king with a soul so frail and pallid. Seek those whose names are unutterable, the four endowed with immense souls. Their souls will serve as beacons. Once you have found them, return here to me, so that hope will not fade away.
So there you go. Goal number 1, hunt down the 4 beings whose names are unutterable, claim their souls as your own, and then return to her. And then you can go meet the king. Alright, well that sounds easy enough.
Bearer of the curse, seek souls, seek the king, lest this land swallow you whole.
Alright, we can level up at the Emerald Herald. I will briefly go through these stats here. Vigor increases your HP. It is your primary defensive stat. Vitality will increase your equipment load, which can be used to wear heavier armor, which can provide you with more physical defense and also poise. It is also something of a defensive stat, and at certain points in raising vigor, you will actually get more defensive bang from your buck for raising vitality so that you can get extra defense as well as extra poise. So there is a balance to be struck there. Theory crafters are going to have to break it out and figure out where it's going to be for the metagame, for PvP and things like that. Endurance increases your stamina. You'll also note that it increases... everything you increase is going to increase your HP a little bit, but Vigor increases it a lot more. So if you want HP increases, Vigor is the main thing. It's just a bonus for everything else. But Endurance also increases your stamina, which is important for attacking, important for blocking, rolling, things like that. It can increase your physical defense, which is important because armor now scales with physical defense. You see this Falconer armor has B scaling. It doesn't scale with strength or dex or anything like that. It scales with your actual base physical defense. So that is something to remember when you're leveling up. And she is so chatty. Alright. The other thing that Endurance does is it increases your natural poise. This is poise that you have, like, regardless of your armor. But it doesn't do it by itself. Like, you can't tell here because every time I put a point in it, it's increasing it. But actually, endurance and adaptability together will increase your poise. So if I have 9 adaptability, increasing adaptability again is not going to raise my poise at all. Until I get at least 9 endurance. Whichever one is lower. If you raise the lower of the 2 stats, you will get natural poise. Right now, if I could raise this to 10, it would not increase my poise until I raised adaptability to 10. Whichever stat is lower will increase your natural poise. And that's just a little extra bonus with those 2 stats. They do have that interesting interaction with each other. We talked about that. Let's see, attunement obviously will give you spell casts. It will increase your spell casts somewhat, but it also will allow you to attune more spells on your attunement slots. That's important if you're going to be a caster. It also has the biggest influence over your casting speed. Your other casting stats like Faith can increase casting speed, Int can increase casting speed, but attunement has the biggest boost there. Also note that it slightly increases your agility. That's just a very interesting little thing. It's a minor increase, nothing compared to adaptability, but yeah, attunement is an interesting stat. And most builds are going to want at least 10 so that you can cast some spell, at least a pyromancy. Strength and dex are your primary melee offensive stats, and you see strength raises attack strength, dex raises attack dex. So this is the bonus that is applied via scaling. So how this works, I have 11 strength and therefore I have 59 attack strength. If I raise my dex up to 11, I'll have 59 attack dex. They go up in the same way. That 59 attack strength that I have is going to be multiplied by the hidden multiplier for this weapon, the C. And it's going to end up contributing to that 37 over here, which is my scaling bonus damage. Of course, that's strength and dex because of that weapon, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. So that's what strength and dex are for. Those they allow you to use different weapons. They allow you to use dual wield power stance. Remember, refer to the previous video if you've got questions about that. But one thing, they both increase your physical defense as well. So if you are increasing these melee stats, you will also naturally be getting more out of your armor. One more thing to note, the dex, poison and bleed. So if you're going to be using weapons that can inflict status ailments, you're going to get more bang for your buck from dex. Interesting. Adaptability increases all of your resistances, which is fine, but that's not the main point. The main point is actually agility. Agility it boosts the ease of evasion and other actions. Now, it's been very difficult to get solid answers on this, even working with the official guide, but it seems, keyword seems, and this is something that I think the community should put effort into researching, that boosting agility does increase the iframes on a roll. Seems. That's not fact. That's something that I have anecdotally that I feel like I have noticed, and that is what the description would tend to insinuate, but we never were able to get a hard answer on that, so there. But I will tell you that agility does increase the speed at which you drink Estus, and having the minimal amount of adaptability or agility and having the maximum agility that you can have, it's a difference of about 0.44 seconds, 0.45 seconds. It's almost half a second difference in drinking an Estus flask between a minimum agility character and a maximum agility character. It makes a really, really, really big difference. It honest to God does. Time will tell how vital adaptability ends up being, how vital agility ends up being, but I do believe that probably a lot of builds are going to include some amount of it. I don't know what the cap's going to be, and it's going to probably vary from player to player, but I suspect that it will prove useful. Another interesting point is that it also has an influence over your poison attack bonus, so dex and adaptability for maximum poison. Intelligence also increases your cast speed. This is very straightforward. It increases your magic bonus. This is very straightforward. That's the main effect, increasing your magic bonus. It increases your magic, fire, and dark defenses as a caster. That's useful. The one thing I really want you to pay attention to, though, is the dark bonus. Int and Faith both claim to increase the dark bonus, but you notice I increase my Faith, my dark bonus isn't going up. It's just like with Endurance and Adaptability. Raising the lower of the two will increase your dark bonus. So if I've got 6 Faith and 3 Int, I need to raise my Int if I want more dark bonus. If that was swapped, if I had 3 Faith and 6 Int, I would need to raise my Faith. So that's how that works. Fire goes up a little bit with both of them. So I can put a point here and a couple points there, and fire is going to go up. You don't have to worry about the interactive effect there, but you do have to worry about it with darkness. I guess one more thing to note about Faith, it's very similar to Int, except instead of magic bonus, its primary effect is lightning bonus, but it also affects bleed, so if you're planning on doing a Dex Faith build, have at it, man. That's how that's going to go. So I hope that has helped out. I hope that's helped out in understanding the stats a little bit better.
Over the hill and past the forest is the king's castle, where a man peered straight into the essence of the soul. But whatever came of it, those who come to Dranglake seeking salvation soon lose hope and turn hollow. It happens to them all, sooner or later. That blue knight at the base of the tower, his spirit is already broken. Although he does offer sound advice. Perhaps he is a foreshadowing of your own future.
Why are you so pessimistic?
That tiny thing inside the ruins. An ancient being that will mock your very existence. She imparts sound wisdom, provided you find her on a good day.
Shelqua.
The sign you bear will drain your very souls. And without souls, you will turn hollow. Stay strong. Do not lose hope, even when you have precious little time. For when the undead dies, it is never truly dead, but only one step closer to hollowing. Not all undead are hollows, but all hollows were once undead. If you find an Estus shard, bring it to me, so that I may ease your burden. Over the hip.
All right.
Those who
Okay. She's so chatty. All right. I said I wasn't going to talk to NPCs, but I did end up talking to her because she's just really vitally important. Also, I don't know if I can get it from this angle. I can't quite. You want to look at her right eye. I can't quite get it from here. We'll try to get it again later. It's a lot easier with no clip, but you can get it from the side with the binoculars. She has 2 different color eyes. I guess that's called dichroma, if I remember correctly. Just an interesting little tidbit. It's always covered, but yeah. Also note, I did not level up. I have some souls here, but I did not level up. We are going to use those for something else right now. Something very important. Something that I'm going to recommend that you do. One of your first missions once you get to Majula. If you have the strength for it, you might not. Just come over here and talk to this guy. And well, first let's rob him. Of course, this is old school RPG 101. We gotta rob everybody, and they're not gonna do anything about it. Titanite shards, so now we can upgrade. Yay! Alright, this is Smallin.
Hello there. Welcome to my shop. I'm Morlin, and I sell armor. Oh, sorry, Please do have a look at my wares. I could really use the business. If you'd be so kind.
We'll talk to him more later, but for right now, if you have 10 strength on your character, it's highly recommended that you go ahead and get a Silver Eagle Kite shield. It's straight better than the Iron Parma, which is the Warrior's starting shield, but Warriors will be fine with the Iron Parma for now if you want. It does not block 100% of physical damage. That's true, but it does have a good deflection type, and it's got 50 stability. The Twin Dragon Great Shield is the starting Great Shield if you want to go that route, but it does require 20 strength, so I highly recommend the Silver Eagle Kite for now. Temporary only. Also, you'll notice he has the Warrior starting armor, Infantry armor, and the Knight starting armor, plus the helmet that you don't start with. But since we just spent some souls here, I think the key is, I think it's like 1,000 souls you have to spend. He's going to expand his inventory next time we visit. He's going to have more armors available for us. And then if we continue to purchase more, he will get some really good armor later. We're going to talk to him some more after we finish up exploring the town a bit, because I just want to hit the important points first so that people who are just looking for tips can have their tips, and then we can just chill and talk to the NPCs. Very important that you do that. Very important that you get that Estus Flask shard right there. If you'll notice, the Emerald Herald gave us an Estus Flask, but it only has one use. That's right. By default, your Estus Flask can only be used one time. Right? It's ridiculous, right? But if you bring an Estus Flask shard to the Emerald Herald... Yeah, right. Okay, cool. Actually, give me the correct dialogue.
Is that a shard you found?
Thank you.
Here, let me see it, so that I may help you to see light, to see hope, however faint it might be.
Okay. Anytime you have an Estus Flask shard, come back here, go to upgrade Estus Flask, give her the shard, and strengthened. Just like that, we now have 2 uses of our Estus Flask. Very, very, very important that you do that. One more thing. I have some souls. You know what? I'll go ahead and level up one time because there's something else I want to point out about her. I encourage you to level your dex. If you're going to be using melee weapons, you're going to need strength and you're going to need dex, but I encourage you to hit the dex requirement first, because you can kind of cheat your way around the strength requirement, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But for now, let's add a couple of points of dex. Watch her hand when she waves it over me to level me up. If you saw the early trailers for the game, then you've seen that feather before. And that's just a really cool detail. If you kill her, she will drop that feather. I do not recommend killing her. You can get it through a quest line later, but just note that she does have that feather, and that feather is freaking awesome. Its effect is great, but that's for later. But yeah, I was talking about cheating your way around strength requirements. This isn't really going to be a good way to demonstrate this, but Notice the Morning Star requires 15 strength, so I can't use it with one hand. And there's an X, a small red X on the icon down there. I can't use it properly. But if I two-hand it, suddenly I can use it properly. You get bonus strength for two-handing your weapon. This is what's different though. In Dark Souls 1, you would get 50%. So if I have 11, I would probably get, I guess 5 is actually what I would get. So I would have a total of 16 strength. Let's just pretend I have 10 strength, so I would have 15. But in Dark Souls 2, it doubles. So I have 11, it would be 22. If I had 10 strength, holding my weapon in two hands would make it act like I had 20 strength. So if you see a weapon that has just absurd strength requirements, it's probably just actually, honest to God, intended to be used with two hands. I think they really want people using two hands for those big weapons in this game. You don't have to. You can level it up to absurd amounts and one-hand them, but there's that. And also for that reason, definitely light this bonfire. For that reason, I encourage you to level Dex first to meet the requirements, and then worry about strength, because you can always use it in two hands until later try holding with both hands. What up, Lenny?
Who are you? Oh, it doesn't matter. Just help me open this door. I packed my tools in here, seeing it was vacant. But now somebody's gone and locked the door. I'm a blacksmith. I'm nothing without my tools. Bring me that key. Chop chop.
Alright, so Lenny's kind of a jerk, but he is a blacksmith, so we definitely want to open this door. You'll notice he's very green. He is not a different race. He's just slightly more hollowed than you. And in fact, if you choose characters with certain skin tones and then die a few times, you'll look like that. So, yeah. Alright, next up, I want to come over here and grab this. Life gem. Always useful. Up here is the Victor's Stone. If you are looking for hard mode, well, you've kind of found it. This will increase the strength of all of the enemies, and certain enemies will drop something called awe stones, which you can then offer in tribute and deepen your rank with the covenant. So, yeah. This will set you upon an arduous path. Are you prepared? Join? They're like, are you really sure you want to do this? But you should do it at least once to get the trophy, and of course the champion's tablet there. And then you can leave. So there's one covenant and an awesome view. Ah, man. Once I realized that was the rising sun, I was just like, okay, this place is pretty damn awesome. Alright, next, what do I want to do next? Next, I want to go in here. Woo! And close the door. In case those damn pigs follow me. Nobody's home. Fuck you, table. Oh, I can't. Fuck that table.
Oh, undead are we? And one without much time remaining. Just about ready to fall apart, I'd say. Not exactly the time to be chatting with a cat. Well, suit yourself. Oh yes, you may call me Shalqua. Enchanté. So, what did you want anyway? Ooh, you smell wonderful.
Alright, Shalqua is nuts, but one thing, she'll let you check your covenant status at any time. You can abandon your covenant here, and there is no penalty for doing that, so no worries at all. You can just level them up at your leisure. You can buy items from her. She has got the Ring of the Evil Eye, so you get HP when you defeat enemies. That's pretty useful early in the game, I suppose, when you have limited Estus flasks and you want to conserve your life gems. The Silver Cat Ring reduces damage from falling. That is pretty useful for taking some shortcuts. I know AGS loves taking shortcuts with this thing, and I guess maybe in some invasions you could literally get the drop on folks. The red eye ring, easier to be detected by enemies, so you can draw out an enemy trap if you want to use it that way. I kind of think that the primary purpose of this ring is actually in multiplayer. If you want to fulfill a tank sort of role, you can wear this ring to try and draw the enemies to you and keep them off of, for example, a host if you're sunburrowing. Name engraved ring. Alright, if you equip this ring, at the time that you equip it, it prompts you to choose a god's name from a list to believe in. What that essentially does is put you in a multiplayer lobby. It like labels you with that god's name. So if you and somebody that you want to play with both equip the ring and both choose the same god, you're going to have an easier time hooking up for co-op. Unfortunately, this does not work for PvP. I asked them directly about that, and they were like, no, it only works for co-op. So that was coming from FromSoft. Sorry. I was kind of bummed out about it too. I was like, hey, does it work for PvP? Does it work for PvP? And they were like, no, it's only co-op. All right, so that's that. Of course, you both have to wear the ring. let me be very clear. You have to wear the ring and choose the same god, and then you can try to arrange co-op more easily. The Ring of Whispers can hear the voices of foes. It will let you find some hidden enemies here or there, but it actually has a very specific special use later in the game. We will be picking this up later. Not now, later. One more thing that I failed to point out the other day when I did the stone ring, and I need to. Rings have weights in this one, and they have different rates. So this one's 1.0, this one's 0.2, this one's 0.2, this one's 0.2, this one's 0.5. 1.0, 0.2, and 0.5 tend to be the most common ones. Just want you to be cautious about your ring's weight. And she does have limited quantities of homeward bones, alluring skulls, these sorts of things, which are useful, but...
Satisfied? I'll be around if you ever come back.
Okay. And, of course, the stone ring, 1.5. So we will talk to Xiaohua in a minute, and we'll get her dialogues. But first, let me do... I think there's... If I recall correctly, yeah, I've taken care of most of the stuff. There's one more major thing that I want to do before we just start talking to NPCs, so people can peace out. Let's see. Up here. Up here. First, this will let you keep up with death totals. Note this. Gee, I wonder what this could be. I'm sure it's nothing. And here, you probably recognize this guy if you have been reading the Dark Souls 2 comic Into the Light that they were publishing. This is the Crestfallen Warrior, Salden.
You're undead, aren't you? You have that distinct scent, the smell of irreversible fate. This is Majula. It is a kind of settlement. A place where life is almost normal. And in Drang Lake these days, there are very few places like that. I am Salden. And like you, I lost everything. And now I'm here. You probably heard that it was possible to break the curse here. Well, that's not true at all. There's nothing here for you, me, or anybody. Do you know much about souls? Even I'm not certain, but I'm told that the soul is the essence of life itself. Anything living, sentient or no, supposedly has one. What we call the curse is traceable to the soul. Do you see what that means? To be alive, to walk this earth. That's the real curse, right there. We undead will never die. And that's Quite a predicament, really.
One thing I really like about Dark Souls 2 is the way that the story focuses a little bit more on the hollowing process and why being undead is a curse. It's not about just never dying. It's about never truly dying, but the more you die, the more you suffer, the more you lose your memories, your personality, everything that makes you you until you devolve into just a mindless beast, a hollow. And that's just a really, it is a curse because of that, and you can never escape it. I like that aspect very much.
There are 4 beings in this land with giant souls. And wherever you go from here, you'll sooner or later come up against them. Each has a powerful soul and a terrible curse. If that frightens you, then you ought to just give up right now, like I have.
Alright, one more dialogue from him and we can finally get what we came for.
Do you ever cry out for help? The journey of an undead is long and treacherous. You'll face invaders from other worlds at every turn. If you need help, why not proclaim faith in the Blue Sentinels? When you face danger, the Blue Sentinels will come to your aid. Protection is yours, if you wish. You need only accept their kind embrace.
Alright, the Way of Blue. Highly recommended for most players that aren't interested in PvP to join this covenant. We get the trophy. We get the trophy just for popping up this dialogue. But if you are invaded, if you're online and another player invades you while you are a member of this covenant, you can automatically summon a Knight of the Blue, a Blue Sentinel, to protect you from the invader. The Blue Phantom that comes will not be able to fight the normal enemies of the level. They'll only be able to fight the invader, but that's kind of the point. So it's to protect you from unwanted PvP. And yeah, it's something that a lot of people are going to want to stick with. Now, you also get the Blue Seal item, which is why I recommend joining it, even if you're not really interested in the Covenant.
That is a wise decision. People are weak, but the Blue Sentinels watch over us in their benevolence. Let the Sentinels cradle you in their embrace.
Couple of other things to note. You can get a gesture for him, which you're going to want to do. I believe there is a trophy associated with getting all the gestures.
Find peace on your journey.
You can actually level up in the Way of Blue. And the way that you can level up in the Way of Blue is by defeating invaders yourself. After you kill a certain number of invaders yourself, personally, not the Blue, you do it, and you talk to him, you can actually rank up in the Way of Blue. He will additionally, after you've died a lot, I believe it's around 100 deaths, he will give you a ring. I believe he gives you a ring of steel protection, maybe +1. He will give you a gift if you're dying a lot to try to help you out. So if you're struggling in the game, if you feel like you've been dying a lot, come talk to him and maybe he'll give you a nice little present. So there's that. That's going to wrap up most of the important bits of Majula for now. In the next video, we're going to go down this path and head into the Forest of Fallen Giants and end up in that fort over there. I'm just going to go around and talk to the NPCs now and enjoy their dialogues. So if you're just looking for tips and stuff, then I'll catch you next time. If you want to hang out for the NPC dialogues, that's cool with me too, though. Alright. So, we already pretty much talked to the Emerald Herald and Salden and Lenegrast, so we just need to talk mostly to Maulin and Shalquaw.
Well, thank you for coming back. Do take a look at my wares.
Has he? Oh, he has not. Not yet expanded his inventory, of course.
I came from the west, from Volgan. Have you been there? It's a lively place, vibrant with trade. Very competitive, of course. And you have to grease the wheels to get anywhere. But I didn't have the funding for that, so I left home in hopes of striking gold. It's been years since then, and I've made very little headway. I don't even know why I'm still here. Everything's all run down and dying. It's terrible for business, really.
Malin claims to be from Volgan. He actually is wearing something called a Tseldora set, so that's a different location. But it could be that he's been away from home for a long time and he's just acquired this during his travels. But the Tseldora set, he will drop it if you kill him. It increases the amount of souls that you get. If you wear it and you beat enemies, you get more souls. So there's that. I don't really recommend killing him, though. I recommend keeping him alive and doing his storyline. And you can always kill him later.
A group calling themselves the Blue Sentinels have gained much power in Volgan. You can't even run a shop without their blessing. They claim to be working for the greater good, but it's absolute hogwash.
So Malin does say he paints a very different picture of the Blue Sentinels than the one that was painted by Crespero Salden. But he does say something very interesting. He says a group calling themselves the Blue Sentinels. So are they the real Blue Sentinels? Or are they a group just capitalizing on the name and trying to use that to gain more power?
Oh, by the gods, why the hell am I here? Well, I do hope I see you again.
It's going to do that for him for now. When we come back next time, he's going to have more stuff for us to buy because we spent some souls with him. Like I said, I think the number's 1,000. Could change in patches. This is being played on version 1.0, so who knows?
Oh. Who are you again? No, I'm not serious. You do have a rather pleasant scent. The type I'm quite fond of. This place is already dead. Everything will crumble and waste away so that something new may be born. Isn't it wonderful?
Rebirth is definitely a major theme in Dark Souls 2.
This place is fascinating. We receive only the most peculiar visitors. Folk like yourself. It's enough to keep even a cat amused. Are you going to see the old ones? Those 4 who have grown so incredibly ancient. They must have sprouted quite a thick coat of moss by now. For heaven's sake, no one even knows their names anymore. Imagine that. Yes, nothing like yourself. For you have a most pleasant scent that grows nicer with each passing day.
Interesting they leave that ambiguous, those 4 who have grown so ancient. AGS, a German spy, his take on it is that she's talking about the Firekeepers and things betwixt. And there are 4 of them, even though there's only 3 there. We know that there was a 4th, and that's completely possible. And another thought that had occurred to me was that it may actually be talking about the 4 main bosses that you have to fight before we can go see the king. So they do leave that open to interpretation, and it's just completely up to however you want to take it. It would make more sense for it to be the Firekeepers, but no one knows the names of the Firekeepers. Well, I do, but they do have names. But no one knows the names of those bosses anymore, too.
Have you made friends with the man by the sea? He's lost everything. Absolutely everything.
A little sadistic.
The only thing he's good for now is a few tidbits on covenants. Covenants are a type of well, contract, you might say. You give something to gain something. That's the way humans like it, right? It might be just the thing you need. But what does a cat know?
Shalqua,
You see
Shalqua.
that oddly formed rock behind here? Long ago, they called it Victor Stone, as I recall. If you wish to face greater challenges, speak to the rock. Although, you'd just as well not. This place is...
All right.
Is satisfied? I'll be around if you ever come back.
Later, girl. And I think that wraps up. Yeah, that's gonna wrap up Majula. I do want to grab this divine blessing over here. I completely forgot, and I sent all those people away before I picked it up. Oh well. Call this special service. Oh, interesting. You probably want to see this. The divine blessing. What is... Oh, there it is. Holy water endowed with a divine blessing. Cures status effects and fully restores HP. Water blessed by an ancient goddess. Her name is long forgotten, and the Magic Academy of Melfia denies even her existence. In any age, there are those who refuse to see reason. It is their meddling that distorts the truth. Distorts the truth in relationship to the divine blessings of the goddess Guinevere, the goddess of fertility from Dark Souls 1. Gwendolyn reference, perhaps. This guy's fucking cool.
Have you business with me? The way you're under is all blocked up, you see, by this god-awful statue. Heavens above. Who thought it a good idea to put it there? Oof, I'm in quite the pickle now.
Quite the pickle indeed. Ho ho ho.
See that statue? Gives me the willies. You stare at it for long enough, it starts to look alive. It just doesn't seem quite right. There are no craftsmen round these parts. Hey, you don't think a real live person was turned to stone, do you?
Oh, Ben Hart. Don't be silly. A real life person turned to stone. Listen to this guy. He's just quite a character. Alright, we don't have to do this, but... might as well. Come on. Whoa. And there's one more right over here. A statue blocks your way. A real life person turned to stone. Silly Ben Hart. You don't know what you're talking about. We will be back here later, but there's nothing we can do here for now. So let me make sure that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. There's just so much info in this brain of mine right now that I'm trying to share, but I will. Wee ho! Alright. And we rested. We make sure, always make sure that you've lit the bonfire, Majula. I can't tell you how many times I've walked right by it without ever lighting it. And that's going to wrap us up. We will continue at the Forest of Fallen Giants next time. Later, guys. Oh yeah, playlist, description, Twitter, whatever. Later, guys!